Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Willington Board of Education special meeting. It is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. We are calling this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. on the dot. You are welcome to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are opening up the floor for present to speak. If you are in person or online, you can raise your hand. Please make sure to state your name and address for the record. Anyone in the room? Nope, there's absolutely no one in the room. Anybody online for present to speak? Okay, thank you. Moving on, this evening we are gathering to talk about the educational specifications that this board is preparing for a possible upcoming school building project. The purpose is to explain what sort of physical space our programs that we currently have will be needing in the future. So we have put together this document, and tonight we're going to go over it one more time, I think, and potentially approve it this evening as a group. So did anybody have anything since the last meeting that you all brought up, or?
I can go through that if you want me to start there.
Well, sure.
So I went through, and some folks put some comments and questions in.
Good.
If there were suggestions about wording, I just did it. If I left a couple things in there that I think you can talk about that will be quick. The duplicates that you got in your email with the reds, those were duplicates. I talked to Rusty about that. So like electrical closet was someplace else. So all those came out, they're correct on the grid. The square footage is accurate right now. So, and we confirmed all the numbers. I did learn one thing I asked about the storage, outdoor storage is not in here for custodial storage. And basically what he says is it gets really expensive because it has to still meet code even though it's external. He said, do you have sheds? I said, we have two. And he said, it would be way cheaper just to repurpose those, even if you have to move them and do it outright, fully separate. Otherwise, all of that counts towards square footage, towards your grand total. So I didn't have, this is the first time I heard that, so I figured I'd share that information. And then I did get a follow-up from Rusty on the lecture hall question. And he said, there's not a lot of districts opting to do that right now. He says he hasn't seen them in middle schools or high schools in the design. They're opting for flexible spaces instead because they can, the fixed seating and the vertical alignment or vertical seating, you can't adjust. It is what it is. And he said, because it's vertical, the typical lecture hall, he said, you still have to make it ADA compliant, which then it's no longer 725 square feet. You have to get the ramp in there. He said it is bigger. He didn't say you couldn't do it. That was his perspective. So ADA requirements, it's larger, and you lose the flexibility. So that's something to consider. And then I can share the comments that are still remaining in here, if that is the best way to do it. So I already answered, Arthur, several of yours and just made the changes that you had said, like maybe add in if needed or something like that. I put those in. Arthur asked a question about sinks for hand washing. And this is something that you could say, it's all elementary. You could put that in as, and it's actually tied to a kind of a water fountain question too, that he had for water bottle fillers. This is up to you. You could say per code, you could say, if possible, that's up to you. Typically the hand washing, sorry, that's small. Yeah, it's right here.
Page 8, top of page 8.
Yeah, top of page 8.
Okay. All classrooms should have a sink for hand washing. Each early childhood classroom should have its own bathroom.
Which it does.
Okay, so what was the?
So the question is, and he had said, is that, is that middle school for all classrooms? Is that a question for all classrooms, and then maybe there's a clarification there? Should we add that in for middle school classrooms, is that what you're asking?
No, I must have missed the elementary. I thought it said all classrooms, that's what was prompted my question is.
Oh, maybe I
do
put that.
we need this in middle?
Okay.
In all middle, at least.
Maybe I added elementary after you said that, I don't know. There's a
Is
chance I did.
elementary to fourth?
That's how
grade
you
one?
would, that's because
How you
you've said the
define it?
fifth through eighth rotation is kind of how I'm seeing it, yes.
And I'm assuming that they would be in the science classrooms.
Mhm.
As part of the
Yeah.
safety versus.
Yeah. Yeah, when you get to that design phase, if you get to design phase, that's where some of these really specific, and Jen, we'll get to yours in a minute, but that's where you get some of those specific things, like if you're trying to save some money because you did something else, you may say, you know what, we want a smaller sink, we just want a water fountain, not a water bottle filler. If you kind of create priorities, once the school building committee would create priorities off of your document, if it was maybe, would you like to do that? Maybe, see what the cost is, if it's really expensive, and you said maybe, they're gonna make that decision. If you said must, typically they have to try and meet that. So the question is, do you wanna change any language in that statement? To consider noticeable.
In the art room, of course.
They have them,
Yeah.
yep, their things are in the office. Do you want me to write in there consideration for, hand washing sinks for the middle school?
Was
Or-
that more like a design thing versus?
It could
that
be.
Doesn't take up more
It-
square footage, right?
It does, and it's also additional plumbing,
And I think per code is probably the best,
which is what you have to meet code.
right, that's
So-
the minimum.
Typically, it's like middle school kids, the expectation is when they use the bathroom, they're old enough to know to wash their hands. Elementary kids, you're reminding them they're doing a snack in the classroom, that's why you have that. My feeling is, you're creating an added cost to the middle school side of this, if you say must.
Now, my whole thing was I didn't feel it was necessary to have in all middle school classes. So that's why I think putting elementary in there is fine.
You're good with that?
Yeah,
But it is in art and science.
Correct.
In middle school, so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so everyone's all set with that then?
Mhm.
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna just make this small for a second. Green was just us checking our math. We did match these up to all of Rusty's. And then, so Arthur also asked a question about the water bottle filling stations. You could put just, if you've seen the center school rooms right now, it's a sink, right, with hand washing sink, and then next to it is a water fountain. You could keep that as is, or you could consider whatever technology's out there for water bottle filling stations at the time if you do a project. If you say should consider, you could do that throughout. I could change it to consider water bottle filling stations, not as a requirement, if that makes sense.
if you go through all the different classrooms and everything, that was in like all of them.
Yeah.
So putting a water bottle filler in all classrooms is, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but you're gonna have to worry about changing filters and doing all that kind of stuff. And what's the difference in cost between doing that across the board versus doing just a water fountain and then some water bottle fillers like in the hallway or in certain
Yeah.
classrooms or something like that.
Mhm.
I'm just concerned with the cost to put in, 35 water bottle fillers.
I know in the newer elementary classrooms that I've been in, they have like a sink combination with a drinking fountain all in one unit. Yeah. And they have select areas for the bottle fillers around the school.
Yeah, that's what I said, like, I think it's real easy for me to change all those, just to say if desired,
I would, sorry,
if cost effective,
you could have one in each hall. Each
Well,
hall
there-
could have
it's-
a water.
right, yes.
Filler, and then individual ones in the classroom.
This is set up, and what he's getting at is there's 9 classrooms right here, there's 9 water bottle filling stations in every classroom. It's just a matter of if you wanna take that out, or if you want to put it as consider.
Drinking fountains make me say ick. I'd much rather a student use a water bottle filling mechanism or like a cup in a sink. So if I was designing a classroom, I would not ask for a drinking fountain in the classroom. Just because of the germ factor, especially with little people. You get a lot of.
And they do it now, right? I
You
mean, they
get a lot of
use
liquid metal. Plus, if you don't have those kinds of things, there's less likelihood they're gonna be exploring them, we'll
Yeah,
say.
less distraction.
Or asking to have a drink every 26 seconds because it's this super cool thing they can go and do with the metal. So just from personal professional experience, I would eliminate them completely.
I'd say select areas in the hallway.
I mean, so you can just take that whole statement out if you want. You don't need, you want the sink for hand washing, but you don't necessarily need the water fountain,
Yeah, I think as long as there's some available in the hallway.
which there would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, is everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave Arthur's comment there. And just because it is it's in various locations in I wanna make sure it's clear what your intention is, wherever I find this, if you approve this tonight. If it says in drinking fountain with bottle filler, that will go away with our expectation that they're just in hallways. Hand
Does
washing
it
sinks.
say somewhere that they'll be in the hallways?
I don't think so, but I think it's an expectation as part of the last section, like the hallways, it probably is code.
I would wanna see it saying water bottle fillers, just to be sure. The thing is, the schools encourage children to bring water bottles. You know, we get that message from schools, so it's,
So is everybody okay if I add that in there someplace to make sure?
Yeah.
It would probably be on the last section, sorry for making you dizzy here. It would probably be on. One more section. Find 2 more sections. It's probably gonna be in this. It doesn't add up the square footage, but what will happen is I'll put a comment in here.
Can you just give me a page
That's
numbers?
custodial.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was in the. You know what I'm gonna do, sync, sorry, I'm on page,
well, that's.
it's gonna be tied to the service areas and grossing factor. I might have to add a line down here.
Community use, it would fit under,
Yeah, but that's just,
oh, that's for the town.
water. I will clean this up and make.
That's a good point too, about the filters and all that.
Yeah, cause I don't know how it works currently, cause we have a couple water bottle fillers now, do the units have their own individual filters or?
Yeah.
So it's gonna
They do.
start getting pricey when you have,
Yeah.
I mean, just the elementary section alone has
They're not
9.
cheap.
So, I mean, like I said, you're looking at 35 filling stations. The only thing I would request though is we do keep the water fountain with a filling station in the gym,
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. It's nice to have one in the gym.
just because the kids are gonna be.
So it's good if it's being used by the community. They have access to water without having to go too far into the building.
It's down. way
It's down.
Yeah.
Control F, Jim.
Control F Jim, is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
GUI.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
that is much easier. Oh.
Do you want it in the gym or right outside? You don't want
Well,
to risk getting the gym forward?
Right, but just in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, there's usually
Near the bathrooms or something. Yeah.
As long as you can see the children.
Mm-hmm.
I may move that comment, I'm just putting in there so we know.
That is a good point too, to have the bathrooms by the gym.
All right, let me see what else, if there was any other comments. Jen had one in here, I left in. That's the same thing. that's
There are,
the
yeah,
first now,
I
yeah.
did,
Yeah, perfect.
It's a good one to
The
put for everything.
cafeteria one was the one that I was.
Yep, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything else. And Jen, what I wrote was, she asked, this is page 28, and asked, oh no, this is about self-contained classrooms. Is this a rough estimate or is close actually defined? Because access meaning close proximity to the related services office for special education. And I just said that's a design phase. They'll determine that. And you're gonna get feedback on those things. If you see it's way across the school and it doesn't make any sense, we would see that.
Okay,
And basically what happens if you get to a design phase, they'll take your ed spec and do just like I did with Rusty's versus what you had, is I'm gonna put check mark. Did they do this? Yes. Did they do this? No. How we can fix that? They have to go through and make sure they address all those things. So that would be design phase. And then the other question she had was around the cafeteria. Did I close that?
page 39.
Thank you. What she asked about high tables or counter seating with stools for middle school seating if possible. And the reason that's in there is, in my research and looking at pre-K 8 buildings, trying to maintain things that are still middle school age appropriate and not feeling youngish elementary. This is one of the examples they gave. Letting the big kids not sit at the smaller kid tables, if that makes sense, making them feel like they're young adults. That was one of the things. So high tables, still flexible, still closable some way. It doesn't mean you're going to get it, right? You may choose some other thing in your fixtures that you like better than a high table such as this, and it won't work. But it's just that flexible seating piece was geared towards the middle school age student to make them feel like it's their school too, not elementary.
Okay.
I believe those are all the questions that were in the documents. And I think those are all my notes from everything I had to collect. You had any other thoughts or questions?
Anybody in the-
So we're not gonna move forward with that, but just direction all of you, right?
That's up to you guys. I'm giving you the information.
Do you need a motion? I assume you need a motion.
If you want to accept these. Or tonight, I guess. If you want to vote on them is what I should say.
Do you want to discuss the what do you call it, that room? Or do we-
Sam, did
I'm
you want to
thinking
talk
through.
about that some more? Or,
I'm thinking,
okay,
no, I think that if we were to proceed with a new school or a renovation, there will likely, hopefully be options for other things in the future that would be able to suffice that potentially. I think just so long as, because I can't remember if we ended up deciding to keep a flex space or whatever, or what, yeah, okay. So. Yeah, no, I'm fine. It was just a question that I had. Did he mention how many square feet, or was it just kind of like, no, nobody's doing that?
He didn't give me a square. The one, so I gave him the health and world language as the option, and he said, honestly, if you were gonna move that sort of direction, he said, I would go bigger and do it so like you could put music class in there.
Mm,
The thing about the music class is if they do any movement stuff, you're stuck with space on the floor.
right.
But that was something that he said that would be a way to do that. it would still be larger than what you have for a music
Right,
space. Cause like singing, you can see everybody's face, you can,
yeah,
but then he said people are really erring on the side of flexible spaces. And I think that's what you just said is there's gonna be opportunity if you do something where you're gonna have spaces to actually have full public meetings if you want,
mhm.
where in spaces that you can actually hear.
Within that school, like in like the cafeteria or something, you're saying, or in other buildings?
They're just different, it's built with different acoustics than it is the whole school gym. That's what I'm comparing it to.
Plus the little, people would probably not be able to have music in the lecture hall. If I'm, unless they have a different kind of seat, you know, the old popping up seats, and
Yeah.
that could be quite distracting.
Exciting, super fun. Now we're getting older.
And then you add a water bottle filler.
Great.
When are we going to music again?
Best ever.
Try to get aired.
Okay, yeah, and you know, I'm sure the BOE will keep a close eye on what's going on with, the progress of the school building committee, and you'll be on hand for questions or comments that they may have. People will probably go back and take a look at our meeting recordings or through our minutes too, just to kind of see what we've discussed and talked about, so they can grasp where things are, where things have been, so that's just, it's always really good to bring up those questions or outside the box ideas and when talking about this topic, because that all kind of is helping to fuel the whole entire project, whatever that may be, if you ask me. All right, so.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yep.
Sorry. The total square footage is 76,430. And what I'll tell you is, that adds up to your groups. That is not, and I talked to Rusty about this, and I did not want to confuse people. I think that is a bad idea. There is a percentage of this that because its exterior walls are included in your size, that it actually comes down to like 73, is that's what your number would be. That would be the number that you would be,
At the state level.
we talked about trying to explain it, and I said, like, if you look at his, you look at his QNM from the original that you want me to match it to, on the very bottom, it does the total square footage and then it takes a percentage off.
Right.
And I was like, what is that? And he's basically said it's the exterior walls, they don't include those, it's your reimbursable numbers off the 73 something.
Oh, that's not the exploded out space, okay, I was just about to ask, I was like, wait a minute, cause I talked to him, but the exploded out space.
It's the grossing factor. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
So is that 3,000, a likely amount that they might give us a waiver for?
I think you're gonna, if you get somewhere with this, you're gonna apply for a waiver for the whole amount.
So
Well, anything over what you're eligible
Anything
for.
over the
Mhm.
73, okay.
So hypothetically, we approve this tonight, does it ever come back to us, that SBC takes it from here?
So they can't do something if they say, wow, when we went to design, they would bring it back to the board and say, what's your feedback? Or they'll say, we really couldn't do this, this, and this, but and this, and this was better. What are your thoughts? The Board of Ed has to approve the plan.
Okay,
It has to meet their ed spec. You might say, we understand, we're gonna adjust the ed spec. And then you would just make that change and vote on it. But
it's kind of like a guideline.
it is a guide to give them the,
Yeah,
the path to what they're trying to do. Without having them make too many decisions.
I'm sorry, one last question, in the email you have, you said that the square footage in red is taken out? Or is it
Correct.
included?
It's gone.
Taken out.
Yeah, so if you look at the service area and grossing factor grid. Sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen. The one I emailed you versus this, what's in there now. This is now correct.
Okay.
You have it in the spec now, but the ones that were in red were duplicates, so like, there was, here's an electrical data rooms, and I said, is that what you had as electrical closets. I just want to confirm and make sure we're missing something. There were 4 of them on here that came off.
Do we need to make sure they're covered under HVAC and stuff like that for the data rooms, or is that kind of like,
This is really square footage to match your program.
okay,
And he said, these are rough estimates for what you could see. You could have an IDF room that's 225, not 200. That might happen in design. And you get the square footage for something else. It's like, there's a little give and take throughout for all these items. You're just saying, this needs to be there, and this is the approximate square footage.
so at least this in the design, I understand, okay.
Alright, I move that we approve the educational specifications dated October 28th, 2025.
I'll second.
Any last discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we have unanimously accepted and approved the October 28th, 2025 educational specifications. Nice job. everybody. Okay, moving on with our agenda. I would like to have the honor of making a motion for adjournment at 6:26 this evening, please.
Second.
Thanks, Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned at 6:26. Thank you, everyone.